In the heart of a quaint suburban neighborhood, where manicured lawns and vibrant flower beds painted a picturesque scene, life moved at a leisurely pace. The community was governed by a homeowners association, HOA, a body designed to maintain order and aesthetics but often seen as a double-edged sword among residents. It enforced rules that could feel stifling, yet it also fostered a sense of camaraderie among those who adhered to its standards. Our protagonist, Jamie, had recently purchased a charming home nestled at the end of a cul-de-sac. Eager to embrace this new chapter, Jamie appreciated the quiet and the friendly neighbors who often gathered for weekend barbecues and community events. Among them was Karen, the self-appointed enforcer of HOA regulations. With her meticulously organized clipboard and an ever-watchful eye, she took it upon herself to ensure everyone followed the rules, often forgetting that her authority had its limits. Karen's reputation as the neighborhood police preceded her. While some admired her dedication to upkeep, others cringed at her tendency to meddle in matters that didn't concern her. Jamie quickly learned that Karen thrived on control and viewed any deviation from the norm as an affront to her authority. Little did they know that their paths would soon collide in a way that would challenge both their perspectives on property rights and community living. As tensions brewed beneath the surface of this seemingly idyllic neighborhood, the stage was set for a confrontation that would shake their world. One sunny afternoon, as Jamie tended to the flower beds that framed the entrance to their home, a familiar shadow loomed nearby. It was Karen, clipboard in hand and determination etched across her face. Jamie had barely registered her presence before she launched into her agenda, a rehearsed speech about community access and shared spaces. "Jamie," she began, her tone both authoritative and slightly condescending, "I've been thinking about that patch of land behind your house. It's prime real estate for community access, don't you agree? We could really benefit from having a small walking path there, especially for the children." Jamie paused, a shovel halfway buried in the soil, confusion swirling in their mind. "That piece of land?" they asked, gesturing toward the area where a dense thicket stood, bordering their backyard. "I thought it was part of my property." Karen's eyes narrowed, as if Jamie's disbelief sparked a fire within her. "It's not marked as private in any HOA documentation. We need to ensure our neighborhood is welcoming and accessible to everyone," she asserted, her voice rising slightly with indignation. Jamie felt a mix of irritation and disbelief. "I appreciate community spirit, but I've documented my property lines. That land belongs to me." Karen dismissed the claim with a wave of her hand, her confidence unwavering. "We can discuss this at the next HOA meeting. I'm sure others will support the idea." With that, she turned sharply and strode away, leaving Jamie grappling with an unsettling sense of foreboding about what would come next. The days following Karen's confrontation were tense for Jamie, who spent hours poring over property records and maps. Determined to clarify the misunderstanding, Jamie meticulously prepared for the upcoming HOA meeting, gathering all necessary documentation to assert their ownership. Each piece of paper was a testament to the hard work put into securing their home, and Jamie knew presenting it clearly would be essential. As Jamie arrived at the meeting, a mix of anxiety and resolve surged within. The room buzzed with neighbors chatting about various community issues, but Jamie's focus remained sharp. When the moment arrived, Karen wasted no time launching into her argument about opening the land for public access, her voice unwavering as she painted a picture of community unity. When it was Jamie's turn to speak, they approached the podium confidently, armed with legal documents and a clear understanding of property rights. "Thank you for allowing me to address this," Jamie began, meeting Karen's eyes directly. "I understand the importance of community access, however, I must clarify that the land in question is legally part of my property." Jamie laid out the property lines detailed in the documents, pointing to the specific boundaries marked on the map. According to these records, provided by the county, this area is not only marked as private but has been recognized as such since before my purchase. A murmur rippled through the audience as Jamie continued, emphasizing their legal rights while maintaining a calm demeanor. "I appreciate everyone's desire for community improvement, but this claim must be based on truth and legality." With every word spoken, Jamie felt a growing sense of empowerment as they reiterated their rightful ownership against Karen's unwarranted assertions. Despite Jamie's confident presentation at the HOA meeting, Karen's persistence knew no bounds. Undeterred by the legal evidence laid before her, she began to rally support from other neighbors, eager to turn public opinion in her favor. Over the following weeks, Karen organized informal gatherings, framing her campaign as a noble effort to promote community access and unity. At these meetings, she spun tales of children longing for a safe path to play and families deprived of a communal space. "We can't let one person dictate how we use our neighborhood," she would declare, casting Jamie as the villain who was denying the joy of shared experiences. Her persuasive rhetoric struck a chord with some residents who were swayed by her emotional appeals rather than the facts. Jamie soon learned that Karen was visiting neighbors individually, sharing distorted interpretations of property rights and claiming that Jamie was selfishly hoarding land for personal gain. This tactic inflamed tensions within the community, and whispers of discontent began to circulate like wildfire. Feeling the weight of the escalating situation, Jamie attempted to reach out to supportive neighbors, explaining their side and seeking allies who understood the importance of property ownership. However, Karen's influence loomed large. She had effectively turned the narrative into a battle for community spirit against individual rights. As tensions reached a boiling point, Jamie realized that Karen's relentless pursuit would not only challenge their ownership but also threaten the harmony of the entire neighborhood. The stakes had risen, and Jamie knew they had to be prepared for whatever tactics Karen might employ next. As Jamie struggled to counter Karen's growing influence, they discovered a network of sympathetic neighbors willing to lend support. Among them was Mia, a single mother who lived just 2 doors down. Mia had faced her own confrontations with Karen, having once been chastised for letting her children play too close to the property line. "If anyone knows how she twists things, it's me," Mia said, her voice resolute. "I'm all in for standing up to her." Another ally was Tom, a retired firefighter who had lived in the neighborhood for over a decade. He had seen Karen's reign of intimidation firsthand and was disheartened by how her behavior cast a shadow over the once tight-knit community. "I can't believe she's at it again," he remarked, shaking his head. "We used to help each other out, but Karen has turned it into some sort of competition." Together, Jamie, Mia, and Tom organized an informal gathering at Jamie's house to discuss strategies and unite the community against Karen's tactics. Several other neighbors showed up, sharing their own stories of run-ins with HOA regulations that had been misused by Karen. Each account added fuel to their cause, reinforcing the notion that everyone deserved respect for their property rights. As they brainstormed ways to counter Karen's campaign, the energy in the room transformed from anxiety to determination. With newfound hope and solidarity among like-minded residents, Jamie felt equipped and encouraged to take a stand against Karen's relentless pursuit. They knew that rallying this support would be critical as they prepared for the next HOA meeting, a showdown that could shift the tide in their favor. In the wake of Jamie's growing support, Karen escalated her tactics, leveraging her influence within the HOA to further her agenda. With a knack for theatrics, she organized a series of impromptu community meetings, often inviting only those who shared her views while deliberately excluding Jamie and their allies. These gatherings swiftly turned into platforms for her to rally more neighbors to her cause, presenting a distorted narrative that painted Jamie as the antagonist obstructing community progress. Karen masterfully employed fear tactics, warning residents that if they did not support her initiative, property values might plummet or that the neighborhood could become less appealing to potential buyers. She circulated rumors that Jamie's stance was not just about property lines but an indication of a broader unwillingness to engage in community spirit. This manipulation placed undue pressure on neighbors who valued harmony and discouraged open dialogue about the facts at hand. To further consolidate her power, Karen mobilized the HOA board, leveraging her relationships with certain members to push through changes that would benefit her agenda. She proposed a vote to create a community task force for land access, framing it as essential for safety and enjoyment, despite the community already having established pathways nearby. Tensions within the neighborhood escalated as some neighbors began to view Jamie's rightful claim as an obstacle to progress rather than a legal reality. As Karen's tactics sowed division, Jamie realized that they needed to counteract this campaign not just with facts, but also by fostering a united front among residents who were willing to stand up against Karen's aggressive maneuvering. Time was running out, and Jamie knew they had to act decisively before the HOA's next meeting. Faced with Karen's escalating tactics and the mounting division within the community, Jamie understood that they needed to take swift and informed action. First, they sought legal advice from a local attorney specializing in property rights and HOA disputes, eager to ensure that their understanding of the law was sound and to confirm their ownership documents would hold up in any potential confrontation. During the consultation, Jamie learned about the nuances of property rights and how to effectively communicate these points to their neighbors. The lawyer emphasized the importance of remaining calm and collected in discussions, advising Jamie to maintain a focus on factual evidence rather than getting drawn into emotional arguments. Armed with this knowledge, Jamie felt more equipped to address Karen's claims head-on. Simultaneously, Jamie made a point to engage with key members of the HOA board personally, clarifying misconceptions and ensuring they understood their perspective on property ownership. By presenting themselves as a reasonable neighbor who valued community harmony while also standing firm on their legal rights, Jamie sought to counteract Karen's narrative. As the next HOA meeting approached, Jamie prepared speaking points that highlighted both the legal aspects of their case and the broader implications for community relationships if Karen's initiative were allowed to proceed unchecked. They emphasized a collective responsibility towards maintaining respect for individual property rights while fostering a spirit of cooperation among residents. With allies like Mia and Tom by their side, Jamie felt ready to confront Karen once more. This time, they were determined not just to defend their land but also to restore unity in a community that had been fractured by fear and misinformation. The day of the HOA meeting arrived, and the community center buzzed with an anxious energy. Residents filled the seats, fueled by curiosity and divided loyalties, as both sides prepared to present their arguments. Jamie sat at the back, flanked by Mia and Tom, each of them exchanging nervous glances while reviewing their notes. Their collective determination was palpable. They had come too far to be intimidated now. As Karen took to the front, her confident demeanor shone through. She painted a vivid picture of a community united in joy, with children playing and families bonding over shared spaces that she asserted were being denied by Jamie's selfishness. Initially buoyed by applause from her supporters, Karen reveled in the moment, framing her narrative as one of progress versus opposition. When it came time for Jamie's rebuttal, a hush fell over the room. With calm authority, they presented a detailed breakdown of property laws, showcasing maps and legal documents that substantiated their claims. Jamie emphasized that respecting individual rights was paramount to fostering true community spirit, particularly in light of Karen's divisive tactics. Suddenly, a crucial revelation emerged. One of the longtime HOA board members was reminded about an obscure clause in their governing documents stipulating that any changes to access roads required unanimous consent from affected property owners, a regulation Karen had overlooked entirely in her fervor to rally support. The atmosphere shifted dramatically as murmurs filled the room. With this unexpected turn of events, not only had Jamie defended their land effectively, but they also exposed a foundational flaw in Karen's argument. The tide began to turn as more neighbors considered the implications of supporting a cause based on misinformation, an opening Jamie felt could lead toward restoring harmony in their community. As the tension in the meeting room reached its peak, it was clear that Karen's overconfidence was about to backfire spectacularly. After Jamie's compelling presentation, murmurs of doubt spread through the audience, and Karen could sense the shift in sentiment. Undeterred, she insisted on reinforcing her point, her voice growing more strained as she attempted to salvage her narrative. "Surely, we can all agree that allowing public access behind Jamie's house is for the greater good," she declared, addressing the crowd with fervor. "And as responsible neighbors, we shouldn't let one person stop us from enhancing our community's enjoyment." However, during her passionate plea, a board member who had remained silent raised a hand and interjected. "Karen, you mentioned wanting to create pathways without considering existing regulations, correct? I believe we need to revisit the HOA rules concerning land use." The room fell silent as the member read from the governing documents he kept in his briefcase. He pointed out the stipulation about unanimous consent among affected homeowners for any changes regarding private access. Karen's eyes widened in realization as she incorrectly interpreted the regulations. Her claims began to sound increasingly hollow as this critical oversight became evident to everyone present. "But I wasn't aware of that," she stammered, her confident facade crumbling. At that moment, it became evident that Karen had not only misjudged Jamie's resolve but also overlooked essential legal frameworks that governed their community. The laughter that followed her slip-up echoed in an ironic harmony, marking a dramatic turning point in the meeting. It was not just Jamie who fought back but also a community starting to recognize their own voices in safeguarding their rights against misleading assertions. Karen's attempt to create division brought instead an unexpected unity among residents ready to challenge her authority and reclaim their narrative. In the wake of the tumultuous meeting, a palpable change swept through the neighborhood. With Jamie's clarity and the revelation about HOA rules still fresh in everyone's minds, residents began to openly acknowledge Jamie's rightful ownership of the disputed land. Many who had previously felt pressured by Karen's tactics now recognized the importance of standing up for individual rights against baseless claims. Karen, once seen as the fierce guardian of neighborhood standards, found herself in a precarious position. The laughter that had echoed through the room during her misstep now resonated like a ghost of her authority, leaving her embarrassed and alienated amid her former supporters. As more neighbors distanced themselves from her cause, whispers filled backyard fences and front porches about the need for accountability in leadership roles within the HOA. Jamie, buoyed by their allies' support, took the initiative to propose a community meeting to discuss pathways for fostering unity among residents and reinforcing mutual respect for property rights. This move was welcomed with enthusiasm, positioning Jamie as not only a defender of their land but also a catalyst for positive change. As days turned into weeks, Karen's hold over the neighborhood weakened further. Her attempts to manipulate situations dwindled as Jamie continued to emerge as a respected leader who promoted cooperation. The aftermath saw monthly community gatherings transform into celebrations of friendship and understanding rather than points of contention. While Karen retreated to regroup from her defeat, Jamie solidified a newfound harmony within the neighborhood, one built on trust, transparency, and firm adherence to established community principles. The conflict, once threatening division, instead forged stronger bonds among residents eager to protect their shared home and values. As the dust settled from the conflict, Jamie found themselves reflecting on the journey that had unfolded over recent months. The ordeal had become a powerful lesson in the significance of property rights and the importance of standing firm against unfounded claims. Jamie recognized that ownership was not merely about legal documents, it was also about personal integrity and the responsibility that came with it. Navigating the tumultuous waters of community life, especially in the face of adversarial figures like Karen, taught Jamie invaluable skills in conflict resolution. They learned that approaching disagreements with calm confidence and clarity often yielded more constructive outcomes than emotional reactions. It was essential to engage with empathy while firmly advocating for what was right. This balance not only reinforced their position but also inspired others to join the cause. Jamie also appreciated the strength derived from community solidarity. Allies like Mia and Tom were pivotal in demonstrating how collective action could challenge a singular narrative, fostering an environment where everyone's voice mattered. This newfound camaraderie shifted the neighborhood dynamics, reinforcing a sense of unity that transcended individual grievances. Ultimately, Jamie emerged not just as a defender of their land but as an advocate for community integrity, a leader who understood that nurturing relationships and promoting transparency were critical components of a thriving neighborhood. They realized that by addressing conflicts head-on and prioritizing cooperation over division, they could help shape a stronger, more resilient community for everyone involved. Moving forward, Jamie felt empowered to embrace both challenges and opportunities for growth within this vibrant space they called home. The dispute between Jamie and Karen highlighted broader implications for neighborhoods grappling with issues of property rights and community dynamics. It underscored the necessity of respecting individual ownership while also recognizing that harmony within a community thrives on dialogue, trust, and mutual support. Conflicts like these, though challenging, can serve as wake-up calls that reinforce the importance of understanding both legal frameworks and the emotional undercurrents that shape neighborhood relationships. Moreover, fostering a culture of constructive communication is essential. Encouraging open discussions about grievances or concerns allows residents to voice their perspectives before issues escalate into disputes. Jamie's journey demonstrated how proactive engagement can turn adversarial situations into opportunities for growth and collaboration. Building strong relationships among neighbors is vital. It cultivates a sense of belonging that makes it easier for individuals to come together when conflicts arise. The experience revealed that unity does not mean unanimity, rather, it embraces diverse viewpoints while working toward common goals rooted in respect and integrity. This conflict also served as a reminder that individuals hold power within their communities when they stand up for what is just. The lessons learned extend beyond Jamie's personal journey, offering valuable insights for anyone navigating similar challenges. Approach conflicts with clarity, remain grounded in one's rights, create alliances with supportive neighbors, and always strive to foster a spirit of togetherness. As Jamie moved forward, they carried these reflections with them, ready to encourage ongoing discussions about property rights and collective responsibility, elements essential to nurturing a vibrant and resilient neighborhood where all voices are heard.